Hey guys, Frudardi back with a brand new video. Today I'm going to be talking about my general high school experience because now I'm a senior and I guess I just felt like passing on my knowledge, if you can even call this knowledge, to my offspring, passing it down. I apologize for calling you guys my offspring. That was possibly one of the worst ongoing thoughts I've ever had. Um, anyways, so I'm going to be giving a basic gist of what my high school experience has been like so far, and whatever comes out my mouth just kind of comes out my mouth. I don't really write a script for these things, so whatever happens happens. So let's get on with it. So my freshman year of high school was possibly one of the worst years of my life, just in general. And I know I say that like a lot, I exaggerate my words a lot, but I don't think I'm exaggerating when I say that. There were so many things that happened in freshman year that just, okay. So I was in a few honors classes because at my middle school I did pretty good there, so they placed me in some honors classes to start. And okay, I'm someone who's not very good with change. I like things to stay pretty consistently the same. I have ADHD, so developing patterns is something that's very hard for me in general. But when I fall into a pattern and I'm okay with it and I become comfortable with it, having that pattern taken away from me is not something I deal good with. I do well with. That's definitely something that I'm working on, and just that whole transitioning from middle school to high school thing was not something that I was excited for, and not something that well for me. The workload was not that bad, but it didn't really matter because I felt like I was dying anyway, and I just wasn't doing like turning in homework. Like, I do it and then I wouldn't turn it in for some reason, or I just be very panicky. And I'm not someone who's very good with making friends. Well, I've gotten better as the years have gone on, but for my freshman year, I was not someone who was very good at making friends. So putting myself out there and being like, hey, I have these interests, please come link with me, that wasn't something I did a lot. And it seemed like a lot of the people who were in my class had already had these little cliques formed, and I wasn't trying to like slide into one of those because I just wanted to develop my own organic group of friends who genuinely liked me for me, not because we came from the same school, or yeah, you and I grew up in the same house for 3 years. Like, I wanted to develop my own new group of friends. There were some people who came from my school with me to the high school that I went to, but we didn't really stay connected that much. We kind of drifted apart. So that was pretty much out of the question. And their personalities were very different from mine. So even if it wasn't like a case where I could be like, hey, your friends could become my friends or something, like, nah, we were all completely different. So there was no way of me doing that. So I just felt like I was completely on my own. But there were people from my old school that already went to the high school I was going to. So I tried to like hang out with the sophomores, which was fine for a little bit, but then they started having their own little sophomore drama, and I tried to get involved with that, and that didn't go very well. So I was just kind of hanging solo by myself, and that mixed in with the fact that I was struggling with my workload and stuff like that, and just struggling in general. I was not doing very well. So I started taking ADHD and like depression medication and stuff like that. And let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. Medication is crazy. Like, that joint is crazy. Like, taking Adderall is crazy. I remember my first time taking Adderall, for all you guys who don't know, is the medication you get prescribed to focus when you have ADHD. And the best way I can describe being on Adderall is like, imagine you're in your body, right? Oh, okay. Yeah, you're in your body and you're like seeing all these vibrant colors and everything's happening and you're like enjoying your life, and then it just goes black and white and all the sounds become muffled, and like you just become very like it brings you down a lot. And you can focus, you can get work done, but you don't feel like yourself. 100% you don't feel like yourself. And it's like, You telling me I can't be myself in order to be productive? So that was a whole other conflict I was going through on top of everything else. Like, yeah, my grades got better, but I wasn't me, so it didn't really matter. Like, I'd come home and, like, I'd be like, and my mom would be like, yo, Zuri, are you okay? And I'd be like, yeah, I'm fine. But it was just the Adderall not having worn off yet by the time I got back to school. So that was another thing I was dealing with. And there was just a lot going on. I was very by myself. Like I said, I have anxiety, depression, social anxiety, all that stuff. So I wasn't putting myself out there. Everyone was going to these parties. I wasn't getting invited to parties. People were going to basketball games and stuff. I didn't really have a group to go with. And I just felt like I was doing high school wrong. And everything just felt really wrong and overwhelming to me. And there was just a lot. That was just a very, very bad time for me. So freshman year happened. Then my sophomore year, I was like, okay, I learned what I do and don't want from high school through my freshman year experience. Let's let this be different. So I started off my sophomore year kind of trying to make some friends. I had some acquaintances that I had made in my freshman year, like people who considered themselves my friends, but you can tell when people are just trying to pull the friend card, but you can tell when they don't genuinely have interest in you. So I had some acquaintances, and I kind of tried to expand a little bit on those acquaintanceships my sophomore year. But that didn't really end up working out that much either, and I was alone for a lot of my sophomore year as well. Alone in the sense that, like, okay, I'm a very sociable person in the sense that I can get along with a lot of different types of people. I'm not rude, and I'm into a lot of different things, so I'm able to kind of talk about certain things with certain people and not make people uncomfortable. I'm a very, I guess I would say, well-rounded person, so I can, talk to a lot of different kinds of people. So people would see me in the hallway, and I'd be, like, talking to different people, so people were under the impression that I was popular. In reality, I knew that I was just being polite and just, like, talk, like, floating around a little bit, but not to the point where people were, like, getting to know me. It was more like, I can have conversations with all these types of people, but they doesn't mean that they, like, know me. Like, yeah, we're talking about something, but that doesn't mean, like, when I go home, they're like, hey, yo, Zuri, what's up? You trying to do something? Nah. Nah. It wasn't like that at all. And a lot of people are surprised to hear that when I say that I was alone for most of those years, or I'd have these, like, little fling friendships where, like, they'd be all obsessed with me for about a week and then it just fizzles out like that. And that happened a lot throughout my sophomore year. People would become obsessed with me for like a week and then they just drop it. And then I'd be like, did I do something? This keeps happening. Like, is something wrong with me? I think around then was when I stopped taking my medication. Somewhere around there, I also stopped taking my medications just because. And you're not supposed to do that, but we'll get into that in a second. So I kept having these little fling friendships that would fizzle out. So then halfway through sophomore year, I just stopped trying. I was like, these people I'm trying to involve myself with don't seem to really be carrying the same passion for the friendship as I am. I'm just gonna stop trying. And that kind of made me very, very sad. So halfway through my sophomore year, I gave up on everything. I stopped trying to make friends. I stopped trying to do better in school. I stopped trying with, like, a lot of areas of my life. And I was just kind of stoic and very, But towards the very, very end of sophomore year, I got a little bit of motivation, picked up, and tried to do better with the school part. But as far as friends and social interactions, all that stuff, I completely gave up. I was like, no, I ain't doing this. Y'all suck. I'm not doing this. So junior year started, and I was like, okay, I'm going to use my experiences from freshman year and sophomore year to really better myself and, try the best that I can to be better, basically. And junior year was probably the best year. Out of the 3 years, junior year was probably the best year. I wasn't really making new friends or anything like that, but I was putting myself out there more. I took up acting, which was something that I've done my entire life. But when I got to my high school, I just completely stopped because I was overwhelmed and there was a lot of different things happening. And I took acting back up again, and I started to meet all these cool people, new acquaintance, like not deep friendships, but I was getting my name out there more and I was doing more things, which was cool. I was becoming more serious about my music and my video editing, and so people were starting to know me more for those type of things, which honestly, if you can know me more for my music and video and then you learn about my personality afterwards, that's fine, because I'm really trying to get my stuff out there. So if that's how it ends up being, then whatever. People would come to me like with little video projects or little music projects and stuff because they knew that I did that stuff, and in the way, like along the way, they find out more about me and my personality and stuff like that. And honestly, I feel like that's a really good way to develop a friendship. If they know that you're good at what you do, and then through the process they find out that you're a cool person, that was pretty cool for me. I felt pretty good about that. I felt pretty good about where I stood with that. So people were finding out more about my creative stuff, and just people, I don't know, I just felt more included in my high school community in junior year than I have felt my entire high school experience. I had a bad experience in freshman year where people were doing those little anonymous, I think it was called Sahara at the time or something like that, and people from my school were saying some really, really mean things to me, anonymously, of course, which means they didn't have the balls to say it to my face, but just these people who didn't really know me, like, were saying these really horrible things about me, and it really gave me a bad feeling. But for my junior year, it was like that bad feeling of like, these people don't like you or you don't belong to this community kind of started to lift off a little bit. It was still some lingering feelings of that, but it started to lift off a little bit. I was also getting better with my time management and my work management and prioritization as far as getting things done, setting deadlines for myself, and all of those things are very important to develop when you have ADHD. If you don't have a good work ethic, or if you don't have patterns, if you're not actively trying to develop better patterns for yourself, if you're not like doing things to accommodate for your ADHD can be one of the worst things. Like, that could be your biggest downfall as far as your academic success. So if you're not actively striving out to do the best for yourself, then it's not magically gonna happen. That's something I definitely had to learn, because I'm lazy, just as it is. Not even just an ADHD thing. I'm just a lazy person, and having to put in work, like extra work, to feel like everyone else was something that really rubbed me the wrong way. But you just gotta learn that, like, hey yo, you want the best for yourself, you gotta put in extra effort, so that was something I was definitely getting better with as far as my junior year was concerned. And I was also learning more about myself and becoming a better friend to the friendships that I already had. I'm someone who would often distance myself from people, or just like cut communication with people because I was feeling sad and stuff. And my junior year really taught me that, like, there are people out there who genuinely care about you, and that was a feeling that I had not had for a very long time. Like, there are people who genuinely care about you, and if you just disappear like that, that's really going to affect them. And I didn't see the volume about that until I started talking to some people who I'd kind of cut off, or some people who I had not treated the best because of my warped emotional state. And I'd learned, like, to really nurture those friendships, because there are genuinely, like, good people out there. And that's something that I learned, and that was probably one of the best things I learned from my junior year, is that, like, you can't just cut yourself off from people who care about you. There are people out there who really care about you, and yeah, it may take some time to find genuine people, but like, they really do exist out there. There are really people out there who love you, whether they be like close to you or really far away. There are people out there who really care about you, and that really helped my junior year. Like, I was doing okay, but after I started to learn that, that really gave me that fire to like really finish strong. And I finished my junior year strong. That was that. I'm laughing, but like finishing my junior year on a good note was something I was really proud of, because I worked really hard. I started to fall into a little bit of a depression, like a depressive episode towards the end, but then I pulled myself out, and we're doing good. I'm a senior now. I made it, you know what I'm saying? And it was cool. So I guess some of the lessons that I've learned that I want to share. One, it's okay to sit by yourself at lunch. You do not have to sit with people at lunch. I personally, at my school, we have like our Macs and stuff. So I just watch YouTube and eat. Why would I need another person there? There's literally an endless sea of entertainment and stuff on the internet. Why would I need somebody else there? And if you don't go to a school, my dog is scratching himself. I'm so sorry. If you don't go to a school where you're able to have your laptops and stuff out during lunch, you can still go read a book, or go draw, or go do something. Like, you do not have to have you don't have to have people sitting with you at lunch. That can be you time. That was definitely my me time, because I was dealing with a bunch of people I did not want to deal with, and sitting by myself at lunch was the least of my problems. Oh my god. And then people would try to sit with me just because I look lonely, and I would make that situation way more uncomfortable. Like, oh, you think I'm lonely? Okay, cool. I'll just sit here. We can sit here and enjoy each other's company, because, oh my god, one thing that I enjoy, like, sometimes I'll get in like a Discord call with my friends, and even if we're not talking to each other, just that presence is something that I enjoy. It makes me feel very, like, I don't know, if I'm in, like, a call with my friends and we're both doing things that we enjoy and we're just enjoying each other's company, not necessarily talking to each other, but just enjoying each other's company while we're both doing something, that's something, I can't describe it, but I just love that feeling so much. And so, like, if we were at lunch and somebody came to sit with me just because I looked lonely, and not the type of, like, oh, are you okay? I'm talking about that petty, like, oh, yeah, you're by yourself, so I guess I just felt obligated to sit with you. Like, nah. Okay, we just gonna sit here and enjoy each other's company then. Shoot. If that's how you feel, we're just gonna sit and enjoy each other's company. So don't worry about what it looks like if you're sitting by yourself or whatever. Take that you time if you need it, because high school, being by yourself is not a problem. Feeling like you don't have friends is a feeling that people might struggle with, you know what I'm saying? But like I said, it's not the end of the world. Like, you can get that motivation, and that, like, you can find the feeling that you get from friends and stuff besides feeling of people that, what am I trying to say? You can get that happiness in other places. You should never be in a situation where other people are determining your happiness. You know? And the friends will come when they need to come. If you're in a place where you're by yourself and you need to work on yourself, then enjoy that time for yourself. And the friends will come when it's time for the friends to come. But don't force it. Like, it's really not that big of a deal, to be honest. Most of the friends you make in high school, you're not going to see for the rest of your life. So, I mean, not to say that none of them will stick around, but just most of the friends that you make in high school will not stick around. So, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. You know, things seem a lot bigger. Issues seem a lot bigger in high school when you're going through them versus when you look back at them. Like, now, like, looking back at when I was lonely and stuff like that, it really wasn't that big a deal, because, like, now I've made some friends. I know the people who are genuine, and I know the people who aren't genuine, and I wouldn't have that much of a sense of people if I wasn't by myself for as long as I was. So, I mean, there are so many perks that come from being by yourself. So enjoy that, baby girl. Enjoy that, baby boy. Like, there are so many things you can learn from being yourself. Another thing, if you're someone who struggles with being by yourself, please learn to love yourself. Take that time to learn to love yourself, please, because I know it's so hard in those situations where you're by yourself and you feel like, well, is something wrong with me? Is it something that I'm not doing? Please please work on your self-love. Please work on your self-love. Like, please, because it's so toxic to be by yourself, and in that season of being by yourself, you're just like, oh my god, what's wrong with me? Because I did that. Straight up, I did that. Like, it's not even that big of a deal. It's not that serious. Listen, you can be the best person in the world, but if people aren't willing to accept you, you won't be by yourself. It has nothing to do with you. It's just that the people around you in your environment aren't ready. And that's the other thing too. It could just be an environmental thing. You could go to one school and be the most hated person in the world, and then go to a different school and be the best person in the world. It really depends on the mix of people you're around. Don't let the mix of people you're around define whether or not you're good as a person. Like, the world is so much bigger than just your high school or your school, however old you are. Yeah, the world is so much bigger than, like, there are so many more people out there who are ready to appreciate you and like vibe with you. I guess that's kind of why I like doing YouTube and stuff like that, because I want to broadcast myself to a larger amount of people than what I'm able to access, like, in my immediate vicinity. Like, I want to take on the world. I want to reach people who are all the way across the world from me. Like, if my voice right now is helping someone else out there, I want to do that. I'm not going to let the people in my current vicinity dictate whether or not I'm a cool person. I know I'm a cool person. Okay? So, like, I'm going to broadcast myself out there because I know I'm a cool person. And I know that there are people out there who vibe with me because I am cool. And it took me a long time to learn that. But now that I know that, I am unstoppable. And I would not have felt like that if I didn't go through those periods of being by myself. You know what I'm saying? So, like, in conclusion, by yourself does not mean bad. It's not the end of the world if you're by yourself. You know what I'm saying? Another tip, organization is definitely a skill that you need to develop from freshman year. If you're someone who struggles with organization and whatever year you're in, please seek help if you need it. Or go on YouTube, bullet journal. That's something I did for a little while. Bullet journaling. If you're artsy fartsy and you like looking at schedules and colors and all that stuff, please pick up a bullet journal. If you don't know what bullet journaling is, Google it. It helps. Buy the markers, buy the bullet journal, just go do it, please, because it helps. It helped me for the time that I was doing it. The reason I stopped doing it was just because, like, quarantine happened, and then a lot of the patterns I was trying to develop during school fell off during quarantine because I was just sitting in my room all day. But bullet journaling definitely helps. If you're someone with ADHD who likes colors and, like, doodling and stuff like that, please go buy a bullet journal, because 100%, I'll tell you, it'll help. If I was still in school, like in physical school, I would have continued to bullet journal, and I definitely would have continued with that, and that definitely helped me a lot, because I would be doodling, but I'd be doodling about what it is I needed to get done, so it definitely helped. So, you know what I'm saying? Bullet journaling definitely was a good organizational tool for me. But organization is definitely something you need to start developing through freshman year, because you can work on what works for you, and then by the time you get to college, you already, like, I spent 4 years developing this system. Okay, this is what works for me. I know it's what works for me because I waited 4 years. I worked on this for 4 years, and this is what works for me. So now I'm going to take this to college, and I'm going to be a boss because I spent all this time working on my organizational plan. Like, what? I need to go to bed. It's 2:13 p.m., but I need to go to bed. What else? Apply for scholarships early, please, for college. That's not something I did, but just do it. I'm telling you to do it, so just do it. What else? What else are high school tips? You know, oh gosh, I've been talking for 24 minutes? Okay, if you guys want me to do a part 2 to this video, definitely let me know. Yeah, definitely let me know, because there are probably a lot more tips that I can give, but I don't have a script, and I'm just kind of babbling into my phone. So, Yeah, definitely let me know if you guys want me to make a part two about this. If you guys have questions or things that I can answer, because I can definitely answer stuff. I have had quite the high school experience, and I have so many different stories to tell. So definitely let me know. If you like this video, leave a comment down below, leave a like, subscribe, let me know what you thought in the comments, you know what I'm saying? And I'll catch you guys later. Peace.